One shot was all it took for Caitlin Clark to shut down every last doubter, while Angel Reese could barely contain herself on the bench. This situation was always going to turn ugly. Fully healthy, that was the exact phrase Sue Bird used to describe Caitlin Clark heading into Team USA training camp. Not almost there. Not close. 100%. And when Sue Bird talks, people pay attention. Because what followed made it clear she wasn't selling a feel-good comeback narrative, she was issuing a serious warning that the storm had returned. Clark stepped into that gym coming off the toughest season of her career. 13 games. Say it again. 13 games out of a full WNBA season. Left quad, left groin, left ankle. The injury list looked like something pulled straight from a medical journal. For a player who shattered 62 records as a rookie, being stuck on the bench watching others compete felt like slow, relentless torture. But here's where the story shifts. While Clark rehabbed quietly, grinding through unfilmed physical therapy sessions, sharpening her game when no cameras were around, the doubts started circulating. Could she really come back? Would she still be the same player? Had the league finally figured her out, and did her body simply break down? The press conference ahead of camp, however, carried a completely different tone. Clark took her seat, locked eyes with the cameras, and delivered the words everyone had been waiting for. "I'm finally 100% healthy." No pause. No uncertainty. Just the truth. Then she followed it up with a line that instantly pulled every reporter closer. "I still need to knock off some rust and get my conditioning back." That's honesty. That's being real about your current spot while fully understanding where you're headed next. And trust me, that level of self-awareness is exactly what separates true champions from simple pretenders. Naturally, the reporters pressed her, wondering if this was just confident talk. After everything she had endured, was she really back? One question focused on nerves, that moment when doubt sneaks in and you question whether you still have it. Clark's response was absolute gold. She explained that the moment she felt the basketball in her hands during warm-ups, before practice had even begun. That's the moment she said everything finally felt right. Not in some spotlight situation, not with cameras flashing everywhere. The instant the ball touched her hands, muscle memory took over and it all came rushing back. She spoke about working non-stop since the season began, every rehab session, every recovery day, fighting to get back to where she was and then forcing herself to go even further. This wasn't simply about returning. This was about returning stronger and more complete. And you could see it in her eyes. The fire everyone fell in love with during her rookie season never disappeared, it was just waiting for the right moment to ignite again. Clark also opened up about what the injuries taught her. She described the experience as isolating. She learned firsthand what her teammates endure when they're sidelined. She learned how to be a better presence and supporter from the bench. But more than anything, she revealed something that should terrify every opponent in the league. She said she would have accepted 10 bad games in a row just to be out there competing, because that's how deeply she loves battling alongside her teammates. Read that again. 10 bad games just to play. That's not someone whose passion faded during rehab. That's someone who never lost it at all. That's the mark of someone who returned even hungrier than before. Now let's get into what actually happened on the floor, because this is where the story stops being good and starts becoming legendary. When Clark stepped onto the court for scrimmages, the entire gym went quiet. Coaches tracked her every move, teammates locked in on every step she took. The pressure in that moment was suffocating. Would she still look like herself, or would months of injuries show up in ways conditioning alone could never fix? She opened things up carefully. A few simple passes, strong defensive possessions, nothing flashy or forced. Some people started to wonder if the comeback might not be as seamless as they'd imagined. You could feel the doubt slowly creeping through the gym. Then came a moment that will be replayed for years. Clark caught the ball near half court. 2 dribbles. Then she rose up from the logo, the same spot that made her a phenomenon. The same mechanics that shattered 62 records. No hesitation at all. The ball left her hands with that flawless rotation everyone instantly recognizes. Swish. Pure net. The gym erupted. Players leapt off the bench. Coaches broke into applause. That unmistakable sound of Clark's shot dropping through the net sent chills through everyone in the building. And in that single instant, months of uncertainty and concern vanished into thin air. One shot. That's all it took. One shot to tell the basketball world that Caitlin Clark wasn't just back, she was ready to dominate all over again. Sue Bird watched from the sideline with a knowing smile. She nodded as if she'd seen exactly what she anticipated, because legends recognize other legends. And what Bird was watching was someone who never truly lost it to begin with. But Clark wasn't finished. She backed up that logo 3 with pinpoint passes, hitting teammates in perfect spots. Her court vision looked sharper, clearer than ever. Defensively, she jumped passing lanes and read plays like someone who hadn't missed a single day. That rush she talked about? Gone. Completely erased. The entire tempo of practice shifted. Clark's energy spread instantly, almost like wildfire. Players moved quicker. Passes snapped with purpose. The defense ramped up. She wasn't just taking part anymore, she was setting the tone. That burst in transition, that control, that flawless shooting form, it was all there, and maybe even better than before. Even when a few shots didn't fall during drills, she muttered to herself and kept attacking. The competitive fire that made her must-watch television during her rookie season burned just as bright. She also reconnected with Cameron Brink during camp. The two have known each other for nearly 9 years, dating all the way back to their U16 days. That chemistry with her teammates was still there, strong, natural, undeniable. That single logo 3 quickly became the moment everyone kept pointing back to. Not just proof that she was physically healthy, but evidence that she was mentally prepared to dominate. That shot announced her return to the basketball world in a way no press conference ever could. In that instant, Team USA found its leader for 2026 and beyond. Now this is where the story gets even more compelling. After practice, Sue Bird and head coach Cheryl Reeve huddled together, both wearing huge smiles. Their animated conversation centered on one player who had completely shattered expectations. Building a new Team USA identity around younger talent while maintaining championship standards is never easy. They needed someone extraordinary to anchor their vision for 2026 in Berlin and 2028 in Los Angeles. Veterans like Chelsea Gray were in camp, battling hard for starting roles. Established stars expected major minutes. So when the decision was made to elevate Clark immediately into the starting lineup, it sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Some questioned whether she'd earned that kind of recognition so quickly after missing most of her sophomore season. But the coaching staff had seen more than enough. Sue Bird would later go on record praising Clark's leadership qualities throughout camp. She highlighted Clark's dedication and constant engagement with her teammates throughout an injury-plagued season. Even while sidelined, Clark traveled to nearly every Fever road game and remained fully involved on the bench. That's leadership. That's what it looks like when someone puts the team above personal numbers. Bird pointed out that Clark truly understood what her teammates were going through because she had lived it herself. That level of empathy is what turns a great player into a strong leader. Coach Reeves' evaluation centered on Clark's basketball IQ and how effortlessly she blended with other players. She watched Clark work alongside backcourt partners like Jackie Young during scrimmages, and her ability to lift everyone around her stood out immediately. Clark looked sharp on both ends of the floor and didn't miss a step. Behind the scenes, sources revealed that her work ethic during recovery had already impressed the coaching staff long before she ever picked up a ball at camp. She stayed connected. She supported injured teammates. She checked in with them through texts when they faced their own health setbacks. Her character showed most clearly during the toughest stretch of her career. The staff noticed how Clark consistently made everyone around her better, using her court vision to create real opportunities. Her defensive pressure immediately sped everything up. Teammates fed off her energy in ways you can't teach or manufacture. The effect was unmistakable to anyone who was really watching. Clark spoke openly about how excited she was to represent her country again. "Playing for your country," she said, "is the highest honor there is." That respect showed in every drill, every scrimmage. She understood exactly what wearing a USA jersey represents. Then the announcement dropped. Clark would be the starting point guard for Team USA. The opening lineup: Caitlin Clark at the 1, Jackie Young at the 2, Brianna Stewart at the 3, Nafisa Collier at the 4, and Aya Wilson at the 5. Off the bench came Sabrina Ionescu, Kalia Copper, Paige Buchers, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Plum, Angel Reese, and Satu Sabali. That decision fully validated Clark's comeback and officially positioned her as the face of the program moving forward. This wasn't simply about filling a lineup spot. USA Basketball was placing its championship future in Clark's leadership and vision for the next Olympic cycle. Sue Bird and the coaching staff's public support sent a crystal-clear message to the basketball world. Caitlin Clark wasn't just back from injury, she was ready to lead Team USA to gold. And while Clark accepted her starting role with poise and humility, Angel Reese's reaction told a very different story. She did make the roster, which should have been positive news. But landing in a bench role clearly didn't sit well with someone who seemed to expect star treatment from the very beginning. Soon, reports began to surface about Reese voicing complaints over her minutes and lack of a clearly defined role. Sources close to the team suggested she was openly unhappy with coming off the bench. That dissatisfaction created an awkward tension within team chemistry, something coaches had to address quickly, because the last thing you want is internal drama heading into international competition. As camp went on, Reese's reaction became more noticeable and more vocal. She appeared frustrated about being overshadowed by Clark's comeback narrative, and the timing couldn't have been worse. While Clark stayed locked in on leadership and building chemistry, Reese seemed far more focused on personal frustrations tied to her role. The contrast between the two became impossible to miss. Clark consistently showed poise, grace, and a team-first mindset in every interaction. She spoke about compromise and prioritizing collective goals over individual wants. Reese's energy, meanwhile, appeared directed toward personal complaints rather than team success. Teammates picked up on the difference immediately. Clark used her time to elevate everyone around her during drills, making the entire group better. Her attention stayed locked on lifting the entire team's level of play. Reese, on the other hand, appeared far more focused on her own role and status within the group. The separation between the two became impossible to miss. Social media signals and behind-the-scenes reports suggested a player who felt entitled to a starting spot, even without earning it through camp performance. Reese seemed to expect special treatment based on name recognition rather than what she consistently showed on the floor during evaluations. Meanwhile, patience within the coaching staff reportedly started to wear thin as the complaints continued. Here's the uncomfortable reality nobody wants to say out loud: Angel Reese should probably feel fortunate to have made this team at all. She does bring value as a rebounder and defender. Be physical. Be relentless. Be a role player, because at this level, that's exactly what she is. She's not a primary scoring option on an elite international roster. Rebound and defend. That's the assignment. But because her WNBA team has asked her to do more than she's realistically equipped for, an inflated sense of her impact has followed her. That mindset showed she wasn't fully prepared for the responsibility that comes with representing Team USA on the global stage. Wearing the national team jersey demands maturity and selflessness, two qualities that were clearly missing in her reaction to a bench role. That contrast highlighted exactly why Clark earned her starting spot through both merit and character. She showed leadership through her actions, her mindset, and her professionalism. Others struggled to accept roles that were assigned based on real contributions made during camp. The gap between earned respect and entitled expectations became obvious to everyone in the room. Let's be honest about something else while we're here. Clark should have been on the 2024 Olympic team. Not just because she was good enough, she was better than some players who actually made that roster. Beyond that, her presence would have brought unprecedented global attention to women's basketball. Instead, the selections lean toward legacy picks and reputations over current performance. Ironically, that snub may have been the best thing that ever happened to her. Now she's returning with purpose, fuel, and something to prove. She's healthy, locked in, and positioned to lead both her club team and her country to levels we haven't seen before. Clark's return to Team USA is bigger than a comeback. It's the groundwork for a championship dynasty that could define women's basketball through 2028. Her leadership throughout camp showed she's more than ready to carry the program forward. Take a moment to process what we just saw. The logo 3 that shut down every doubter. A starting point guard spot earned purely on merit. The way she lifted every teammate around her. Fever fans can finally breathe again, knowing their superstar is healthy, confident, and fully locked in. Clark's body feels better than it has in months, and her mind is completely focused on chasing gold medals. 2026 can't arrive fast enough. And when that tournament tips off, everyone will look back to this exact moment, the moment Caitlin Clark announced her return not with words, but with a logo 3 and a level of leadership that can't be manufactured. Now let me ask you this. Should Angel Reese even be on Team USA with that kind of attitude? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is only getting louder. And if you believe Caitlin Clark is about to dominate the next Olympic cycle, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. This story is nowhere near finished.